A dairy cow that talks to farmers. What kind of sorcery is that? It's not the magic wand kind. It's the RFID collar and Internet of Things kind we created with Chiddly Dairy. So every cow can let farmers know how she feels and what she needs to be healthier. All with a simple text. Ta-da! Magic can't make digital transformation happen, but we can. That's the power of VMware, part of Dell Technologies.
We are more the same than we are different. We enter our world the same way and take our first steps on the same soil. All 7 billion of us. We bleed the same color and have the same need to bond and belong. We form tribes, families, communities, clubs, cities, states. Countries draw their lines. Citizens pledge their allegiances. And yet our definition of belonging isn't working. Wars are fought, disease spreads, the environment is destroyed, and poverty increases. We need global citizens. People who apply the idea of citizenship to a global level. Global citizens who recognize we rise and fall together. Who see strength in diversity and want to create a new future together. In the last 35 years, extreme poverty has been cut in half. We are on the threshold of ending extreme poverty in our lifetime. We can build the world we want. As global citizens, let this be our legacy. Welcome, citizens, to the Global Citizen Festival.
What's up, New York City? How's everyone doing today?
Please welcome UN Messenger of Peace for Climate Action, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Tonight, the world is watching. We have gathered here tonight to commit ourselves to these global goals to build a future in which shelter, food, clean water, education, and basic medical care are seen no longer as privileges for some, but as inalienable human rights for all. But our efforts here will be in vain if we do not also address the forces that are threatening to destroy our very planet. Humanity's only home. The debate is now over. Recently, the UN's panel on climate change issued a historic report. It concluded without equivocation that climate change is occurring on all of our continents and in all of our seas, driving ocean acidification, the destruction of our ice sheets, desertification, hurricanes, and catastrophic heat waves. Now, this is hardly new news to any of us, but it went on to say that the first people to suffer the effects of these calamities, the first in the global line of fire, will be the world's poor and most marginalized. 2015 was the hottest year in recorded history. What will this bring to humanity?
Hello, New York. It's great to see you all. Now, I know elected officials aren't supposed to have strong views, but I love Coldplay. And by the way, some of you don't know about Chris Martin. He's got a heart as big as his head. I'll tell you about that later. But Chris, thank you very much. Look, there are many different issues that bring us here tonight. Extreme poverty, climate change, standing up for women and girls. But while each of these concerns are distinct, there's a deeper truth, and that is all of them are strands of the fabric of our common humanity, every one of them. They're connected by a simple, universal truth that my dad taught me and my brothers and sisters. He used to say, Joey, everybody in the world is entitled to be treated with dignity. Everybody in the world. And so whenever or wherever dignity is denied, we're called to care. We're called to witness it. And we're called to work to change. And folks, here's the deal. I've been doing this a long time, as you can tell. I'm married to a much younger woman. She's 30 years younger than I am. But folks, all kidding. At no time in the history of the world has it been harder to hide injustice, whether it's in plain sight or in the darkest corners of the earth. And within each one of us, with each one of you, there is the light of conscience. And look, each of us has to move beyond, reach beyond ourselves. We have to be a light to the world, not in the world. That's what you're all here for tonight. Look, I look out and I see a sea of global citizens, optimistic, determined, absolutely determined, rejecting the false premise that our challenges are mere fate with no solutions, and that protecting the universal rights is something equally universal, because it is. This is all about possibilities, and it's within our reach. We can change the world. We really can. You can. And it's also true. It really is also true. I know I'm known as the White House optimist, but I'm optimistic because I know the history of the journey of this country. For it's also true that at no time in history has so much power been available to make such a difference for so many people. And I refuse to believe, I mean this sincerely, I refuse to believe that we're not going to try. We can do this. You can do this. We can finish this job. We must.
So what's it like being in Washington?
Oh man, it's obviously a pleasure to come here in our capital, man. But obviously for a very meaningful event. You know, global citizens reached out to me to be a part of this, and obviously seeing what you guys have been able to do year after year, I'm so overwhelmed with the fact that I'm able to be a part of something so significant.
Yeah, me too, man. This is my first year. I'm so happy about it. Why is it so important for you personally to be here?
I mean, I feel like I'm blessed to be a blessing. You know, through my Little Look Foundation, I've really dedicated the last 15 years of my life in, growing people. But what I realized is without the opportunity of an education, the playing field will never be, it'll never be even. You know, access to an education isn't a privilege, it's a right. And this is something that really influenced me to be a part of this mission, that education will hopefully be the leading factor to ending poverty in 2030.
Cool, man. Excellently worded. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for joining us, dude. Thanks.
Immediately, he's ahead of the field, and Usain Bolt has stopped! Usain Bolt has stopped at the 50-meter line! Oh, that is a pity!
5. Apollo, you're on course. 226 hours to the moon orbit.
Okay, thanks, Houston. But I think we'll be heading back now.
Come again?
Yeah, it was kind of fun, but I think halfway will do. Job done.
Good night. Usain Bolt storming through, and he takes it again. Brilliant, brilliant.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We have cut poverty and childhood deaths in the last 25 years in half. In half. Now, how did that happen? Well, there are lots of reasons, but I'll tell you the very biggest reason. It's because we came together, all of you and the world, and decided this is something we're going to focus on. People from all walks of life decided we're going to do something about poverty and childhood death.
We call ourselves impatient optimists. Optimistic because we know ambitious goals can be achieved when we all work together. Impatient because we're not getting there fast enough. But there's a plan, and that's where you come in. If we're going to make the progress we need over the next 15 years to end extreme poverty, we need you.
We need you to hold your leaders accountable. The leaders who made promises this week in New York and who set goals, we need you to tell everyone about these goals. We need you to prove to the world what we already know, that this is not a generation of bystanders. You all care about the world. You are global citizens.
I'm a global citizen. Melinda's a global citizen. Join us, and with your help, together, we can end extreme poverty.
Will be headlined by Pearl Jam, Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, and Coldplay. It's going to be the most incredible year.
Coldplay. Why would you have Coldplay there?
Because their song, which is Sky Full of Stars, inspires me every time I listen to it.
Every time. Chris, this is shocking to me because actually we were talking before you came out here. Yeah. You said there was no way in hell you would ever play for anything that Hugh was associated with.
I did say that.
He has just pulled you in.
I said it on the record as well.
On the record.
One of us is lying. You know.
Well, we're going to work through it. So actually talk about why, Chris, why you got involved and the community and how this is different from, it started really with Woodstock, and then we all grew up and we saw Live Aid, Farm Aid, all these other things. But this is actually very different.
Yeah, well, what the thing it has in common with Woodstock and everything is just the coming together of lots of musicians. And as a singer, it's just so fun when we all show up at the same place. It can be sometimes quite a lonely pursuit.
Right.
So a festival, by its very nature, is a very communal and friendly atmosphere. And I think that Global Citizen is harnessing that community to also try and say something useful. It gives us a chance to show the things we care about.
Yeah.
And there's obviously more power in togetherness than just trying to say it on your own.
And Hugh, we're used, as fans, we're used to sitting at home, watching great artists perform, you know, calling a number, giving money, and then hoping the money goes to the right place. This actually is a far different construct. You and Chris actually just got back from India, where you guys are going, and this isn't just about writing a check and hoping it gets somewhere. It's about applying pressure to world leaders.
So we really want to turn the model of activism on its head, where instead of people paying a certain amount of money for a ticket and then rocking up and then thinking that that was the end of it, we said, well, we have to think about how do you build a movement, and I believe movements have to be 365 days a year, and so starting today, global citizens can go online and actually earn their way into the festival through taking action. So one such action, they can call the US State Department today and actually make a phone call and encourage the US government to increase their investment in supporting the poorest of the poor through their own foreign aid budgets. And so this is where global citizens actually are trying to harness a generation of activists and volunteers who can take action, and we want this to be a 365-day movement, with the festival providing them ultimate pinnacle moment where world leaders can come together and actually make commitments that they're willing to be held accountable for.
Kwaku, you've been involved now for 3 years.
I have.
What progress are you seeing?
I think over the last 15 years, we've seen tremendous progress. We've been able to halve extreme poverty levels around the world. What Global Citizens has really done is find a way to connect with younger audiences and show them how to utilize technology to actually be active participants in making actions towards our future ultimately.
What's in store this year that's new?
Well, I think what's in store this year, firstly, it's the year when the world is coming together and the United Nations will announce a new set of global goals for sustainable development. These are 17 goals that actually have the potential, if achieved, to actually end extreme poverty by 2030. And so that's our dream. And what's also really new is that Chris has recently made a 15-year commitment to help curate the Global Citizen Festival for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, yes, by the time that's finished, I'm going to be 79 years old.
Exactly. It'd be like Dumbledore. What did you see in Global Citizen that made you commit 15 years of your life to this? That's remarkable.
Honestly, I saw togetherness and acceptance of all other NGOs. So I just felt like they wanted to embrace everyone, and also the idea of community action. You don't just give money and watch it, don't know where it goes. It's about using your own voice, and as a singer we can do that, but also as a student or whatever you do, you can have some part to play.
And there really has been a coming together, it seems. Right. And I'm just going off of like what Chris was saying, it's not some hippy-dippy idea. This is something now that I think more citizens across the globe are really starting to focus on, regardless of ideology.
It's true, it's true. President Bush, and a huge credit to Bono and Product Red and the One campaign for their leadership on this, but they did a great job in ultimately encouraging President Bush to take a leadership on funding HIV/AIDS antiretrovirals in sub-Saharan Africa, and the transformation that we've both seen with our first hand has just been remarkable. And so huge credit to Republicans for taking leadership on that, and more recently the Democrats. And when President Obama was elected, we've now seen that funding for food security and hunger alleviation has actually gone up dramatically in the last 5 years, from what was about $335 million per annum to now $1.1 billion per annum under Obama's leadership. And so, trying to get the Global Food Security Act codified, we've already got 55 co-sponsors of that bill, trying to make sure that this becomes a truly bipartisan issue, because ultimately, I think that it's at the core of humanity. No one doesn't want to end extreme poverty. Everyone wants to see this dream realized by 2030, where no child would die for lack of a 30-cent immunization. I think that's a dream that unites us all, and because it unites us all, this is the biggest year to make that change.
Let's talk about women's empowerment. Obviously, that's an issue also very important to what you guys are doing.
Well, women are, the largest part of the population of the world at the moment, but yet they're currently also the most disenfranchised. There's nearly 91 million women that don't have access to universal education, and I think it's critically important, because we know it's fact. girls of today will be the future leaders of tomorrow, that we create universal education for women ultimately.
And what's cool about what Kwaku just said is that we've just formed a partnership with Beyonce's Chime for Change. They're actually become the presenting partner of this year's festival. Beyonce and Selma Hayek launched that with Gucci a few years ago to really focus on women's equality worldwide. And we know that women's equality is critical for the movement to end extreme poverty. So we're just delighted that this partnership has come about. I think this, very simply, I think the dream of a world without extreme poverty by 2030 was Kwaku's grandfather's great legacy. In his final speech, he actually said that that is the challenge for our generation, and I think that that's a challenge that we've got to take seriously. And I just think it would be awesome if this year, as Chris said, if we could see a coming together where Global Citizen was an idea bigger than any organization. It's not about any organization, it's about whether it's the amazing organizations like the One Campaign or Oxfam or Save the Children or CARE or UNICEF, all coming together with the Gates Foundation, all unified behind this idea that this could be the generation to see an end to extreme poverty, tackle inequality, and I think this September will be the moment to shine that spotlight.
So let's wrap it by talking about September, Hugh. Talk about what we're going to see.
Well, we're delighted this year we're partnering with Richard Curtis, who's the amazing creative director. Right. He created everything from Love Actually through to Notting Hill, and he's going to be producing a 1-hour special that we've been working on around the clock.
What are you laughing about, Chris? Did you not like those movies?
From one movie to the next movie he made.
What's the one after that? What's the one after that?
You could say he created everything from Comic Relief, which is this amazing
Red Nose Day,
to Red Nose Day, through to, but you just said two relatively similar films.
Yes. Well, you tell me what else.
He created everything from Wheel to that round.
He created everything from one romantic comedy based in London to another romantic comedy based in an affluent part of London.
I like them both, so.
No, man, he's amazing.
All right, very good. So we all come down on the side of Love Actually is actually a great film.
It is a great film.
Okay, that is that. Okay, so go ahead.
And then also we're working with Ken Ehrlich, who is the renowned producer of the Grammys, and he's going to
both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand and on their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save that he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.